we're live. Thank you for joining the Tomsic Analysis tonight on our Thursday restream. I'm glad you can join me. Got a pretty good show here tonight, and before I get started, I want to just make sure you know that we've had a lot of great videos I've posted in the last week. Last night, Ashley stopped by. We did our once-a-month conversation with Ashley and David. It was a pretty good conversation. We were all over the place, and I enjoyed it, and I hope you do if you go watch it. I do have a three-part series about evangelicalism in politics. Part 1 is out. You can check that out. And, of course, I have a whole grouping of other videos that I think you'll enjoy. Please watch them. If you enjoy them, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and share to our channel. Thank you. Okay, today is a very interesting video. It's something maybe not everybody will want to hear because it's not so exciting as, you know, war and bombs and the election, which is about 12 days away, I think. No, this is about something that literally is changing the face of the world, okay? How the global community reacts and works together is changing. Now, we had, for many, many decades, a unipolar world with the United States on the top of the pyramid. We loved it, and the people that lived and worked in our government, the permanent government, and many of those who support it, tasked themselves to keep the United States at the top of that pyramid forever, no matter what. So over the years, and I've had many videos about this, for many years the United States, and of course still does today, will kill, steal, and destroy anybody in its way of staying at the top of that pyramid. It's called American hegemony. Now, I have talked about this in other videos, as I mentioned, and I've tried to make a point that the world is changing away from that to a multipolar world, okay? This is a big deal, so wake up and listen. Don't roll your eyes. Wake up, because this is important. There was a meeting in Kazan, Russia, this week. It ended today, 22nd through the 24th. It was a meeting of the BRICS Nations. Now, this is the most important meeting probably in the last 30, 40 years, maybe in the hindsight of this, when we go forward, we'll see it's one of the most important meetings maybe ever in our history that really didn't include us, okay? And this meeting was the meeting of the BRICS Nations. Once again, if you watch my videos, excuse me, I talked about this many times, and many people get bored and they want, you know, to watch the cat rolling the yarn and stuff on YouTube videos. Here at the Tomsic Analysis, we're going to hammer you with the truth, whether it offends you or not. And believe me, I've offended a lot of people. And I don't mean to do that, but truth hurts. And I work hard at getting at the truth. And so the BRICS, this whole thing, BRICS, really stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are nations. And let me explain a little bit. So hold on. And let me explain a little bit about what this is. Now, this idea of BRICS began in 2001. And guess who thought it up? Oh, it was a Goldman Sachs chief economist named Jim O'Neill. Of course, it was somebody in the United States from one of the big Federal Reserve banks, a power bank, Goldman Sachs. Now, he thought of this as a way to grow inter-country trade amongst smaller countries, okay? And at first, it was just 4 countries. 2006, this came into reality. Brazil, Russia, India, and China. South Africa joined in 2011. Let me give you a little rundown here. The gross domestic product, which is how we measure the economic power of a country or a group of countries, okay? It's the #1 measurement, metric. Basically, these first four countries account for 65% of the expansion of world GDP in terms of purchasing power parity. 65%. Now, that was just those 4, okay? Now, GDP today already exceeds that of the U.S. or European Union. Okay, so right off the bat, we have to get attention here. We have to pay attention to what's happening here. Because this is going to affect you and me. In fact, it's going to bite us in the rear end. And a big bite it will be. Okay, so we have to look at BRICS as a yeah, I can talk tonight. BRICS is an intergovernmental organization that aims to increase economic and geopolitical coordination and integration among member states. That's their talking point. This is what we're doing. They promote peace, security, development, cooperation. And they want to establish a more equitable and fair world. Okay, so before you go down that and roll your eyes, I followed this whole thing for quite a while, okay? And the reason this expanded, the reason why this particular meeting this year, unlike all the other years they've met, is important because this is their breakout year. See, this really is a war. Now I got your attention. It's a war against the Western world. That's the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, the Western world, those who side with us, part of the European Union, part of NATO, part of this group that we call the Western world, that side with us. And that's in pretty much a shambles, most of those countries. Now, this particular group expanded. It added Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. Others are going to be put in as well. Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Nigeria, Turkey, Uganda, and Uzbekistan. These are all joining the group, and there's more waiting. Okay, I've named a bunch of countries. They're all small. They're not us. I don't care if they're us. They all have GDP. They all have a big population. These are big population countries, people, that used to sort of deal with us all the time, exclusively. And now they're going to be sliding away from us. How does that affect us? What does that really mean? Okay, so let me look at it this way. We say they're going to promote peace. They're going to do all these things. And I got to tell you, this is true to a large degree right now. I know people don't want to hear it because they see Russia's at war with Ukraine. You have China growing, and we always have issues in the South China Sea with Taiwan. But for the most part, these countries outside of their own country have been working for peace in many different places. The Middle East, China and Russia have played a large role in getting countries to talk to each other. Iran and Saudi Arabia now actually sit down and talk to each other. They hated each other. China sat down with them, brought them together. Other countries. So they are working for this goal. Why? See, many of you, and I know people are saying, Russia's going to invade us and China's going to invade us. Well, I'm not so sure about that. What they're going to do is invade us with economics. The war is an economic war. And the United States has made it basically a war of proxies, a physical war in many countries, because ultimately we're trying to tear down this new system before it grows any stronger. It's challenging the United States directly. Not just challenging, it will overtake it. And people in Washington, D.C., those neocons, the permanent government, the nutcases that get in there in the Senate and the House of Representatives, even many presidents are bound and determined to keep the U.S. at the top of that economic and geopolitical and military pyramid. And then we're sliding down. We're starting to fall off, and they're fighting to keep it together no matter what. No matter if it makes us go to war. They're going to fight. So what tool are they going to use? It's an economic tool. See, right now, the world has to use a system that's in Belgium. It was created many years ago. It's called the SWIFT system. Understand this, because how you get your goods and services around the world is due to the SWIFT system. This is a big deal. It stands for, and I didn't know this, the whole name of it, Society of Worldwide Interbank Financial Communication System. Woo! Okay. Now, this is supposed to be an independent system run by people in Belgium. The problem is that that's not really what happens. The United States has hijacked this system as it has other systems. It uses the system as a weapon of war against countries that we are not so happy with. Russia was one of them recently. We want to use it against China if we could. So you can't use the system, you can't trade. You know what I'm saying? You can't just call Billy Bob over in Turkey and say, hey, send me 500,000 water machines they make there, without being able to use the SWIFT system to pay and transfer through banking. It's complex. It's a big deal. It's not like just simpleton stuff like you do at the Pentagon here. What are we going to do? Send more bombs? Kill people? No, this is a big deal. So today they announced a new financial messaging system that is strictly going to be run by the BRICS. It's going to be based on local currencies. It's going to be based on eventually gold, maybe eventually another type of currency. But right now it's going to be kicked off. It's going to be ready to go. Okay, how does this affect us, people? This is a big deal. I want to go back, and I had friends argue with me. Yeah, they were smarter than me. All of them, none of that means anything. We're the United States. They'll never happen. And you hear it even on YouTube or on the news. You hear it from our government. That's not going to mean anything. And of course, our government lies through every breath and every orifice they have. But there's a reason they lie, because they realize that they can't let the truth get out. And that's why we're here on this channel, to tell some of the things that the U.S. government, State Department, the Defense Department, the White House, your puppets that sit in front of the cameras, in front of the mainstream media, you know who those people are, like the people on CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, and of course the real losers on Fox News. They're not going to tell you, go America. Well, it's nice to go America, but sometimes you got to, you walk into a minefield, you got to be mindful of where you're stepping, and we stepped on it. This system came to fruition because of the hatred of most of the world now. And I know many of you people travel and they say, they love us over there. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't matter what the people think. Those running the institutions and governments in these nations hate us, as probably do many of the people. But I'm just saying, they're tired of being threatened, basically with the dollar as a weapon. We're not going to allow you to trade with dollars anymore. You're not going to be allowed to buy oil, because we're not going to allow you to transfer dollars, because you have to buy dollars to buy oil, or you used to. That changed too, by the way. Saudi Arabia did not sign the 70-year agreement that kept the standard of using the dollar to buy oil. Everybody had to have a dollar. And I'll get to that in a sec. So the world is tired of us. 70% of the globe, the Eastern globe, Middle East, Eastern, China, and the Southern globe, Africa, all these countries. And whether you like Africa or the Middle East is not my problem. See, this is what I get into. Like, friends try to tell me that they don't mean anything. Well, guess what? They do. They mean something. They're people. And that's one thing I'm tired of with American exceptionalism, is that we are exceptional, nobody else is. Oh, they're black, they're in Africa, they're not like us. They're Asian, or they're Arabs, and these are all bad guys. So we've shunned the whole world and tried to take advantage of the whole world, and when they fight back, they're the bad guy, they're the terrorist, they fight back, and we then go bomb them or threaten them or shut them off from the SWIFT system. They can't trade. To this day, Iran can't get certain things because they've been in sanctions for decades. It doesn't hurt the Iranian government. It hurts the people of Iran. Syria has sanctions. They couldn't get medicines for children. This is what we do. We're going to threaten you and we're going to sanction you. And they did this to Russia, and it didn't work. Russia basically stuck their foot up our rear ends. And we're still angry about that. And we can't do anything about it. Now this is the bigger picture, because it was Vladimir Putin who announced this new messaging system. And this new messaging system is going to create a whole new world, a whole new opportunity for all the countries that are tired of dealing with the United States, its politics, its geopolitics, its dollar, its arrogance, its exceptionalism, and they're going to have their own little world. Except it's not a little world, and this is my point. This is a massive deal because as we go forward, less and less U.S. dollars will be needed by all these countries. Remember, 65% GDP parity from just those 4 countries. Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Just those 4. China, is a huge country. India will be number 2 GDP probably in the next 5 to 6 years. All these other countries added to it. Indonesia, high GDP country. Big populations, middle class, growing. So the United States and Western Europe, and really all of Europe and all the European Union, is going to have to now fend this off, and they don't have the cojones to do it anymore. It takes raw power now to overcome a force that's coming against them, which is a massive force of billions of people and billions of dollars or billions of whatever currency you're going to use. And they're going to be able to use it without being the fear of being sanctioned, without the fear of being shut off. See, when I said that they want to have parity, when they want to have peace and fairness, they mean that. And I'm not naive. These aren't perfect people. But for most of the world, we haven't been fair in 50, 60 years. Now there's going to be, everybody will have an opportunity. See, America, and I'm going to go here. I'm going here. When I say exceptionalism, Madeleine Albright, one of our former ambassadors, piece of crap. She was the one that said after we bombed buildings in Syria, killing children, that collateral damage is acceptable. They might have got like we're doing today in another country, in another region, close by, actually real close. We bomb buildings with children to get one guy. Okay? And so children are dead. And she thought that was okay. Americans think this is okay. So you might think this is okay. I know a lot of Christians that think it's okay. Kill them. Kill everybody. Go. Except now, who's going to be the bully? See, when I said we went from a unipolar world to a multipolar world, you now have literally very powerful countries. Right off the bat, Russia, China, and India. Right off the bat. Saudi Arabia belongs to that block now. Dollars-wise, GDP-wise, oil. Turkey is going to go in. Biggest army in that part of the world. See, all of a sudden, where you pushed a little kid down, he comes back and he's 3 foot taller than you. And you're going to get your ass beat. Now, it's not something I would have wanted. But you reap what you sow, people. And we're still at it. Even now, we're still at it. Giving bombs to people to blow up kids. Giving billions of dollars to thieves and crooks. Meanwhile, lining our own pockets, and I'm talking Congress, lining their own pockets with the profits. Lining the pockets of the military-industrial complex. There's no war they won't fund. There's no war they won't go to. And it's a two-edged sword because, you see, we're going to fight for American exceptionalism. We're going to fight to be at the top of that pyramid. And here's the problem. No matter who becomes president of the United States, your economy's going to suck. You see, because it's beyond the measure of one woman or one man. No matter how much BS they talk. And believe me, they talk. I got someone in the live stream here. Yeah, someone said, Combat X, India's playing both sides. Yes, they are. And I will address this. Yes, they are. Because India still is a country that has its foot in both doors. But remember, it's firmly in BRICS. And from the conversations I've read from Modi, he still is leaning heavily towards BRICS, will be committed to BRICS because in the end, in the end, just like Saudi Arabia and Turkey, in the end, they have, because Turkey still has a foot in the door with NATO, big time. But in the end, what would you do? You're going to keep that foot in that door till the building collapses, then you're going to pull it out. You're going to go to the winning side. Unfortunately, the winning side's going to be the BRICS, because it's a mathematical probability. That's what it is. Thank you, Combat X, for that comment there, for that question. And you guys are awake. That's fantastic. Now, as far as the United States is concerned, we're in a situation where I don't know what leaders think can be done except the route they're taking. I mean, the route they're taking is the same, overthrow governments. I mentioned this, we've overthrown governments. We've assassinated people. We give weapons to assassinate people. We were responsible for many of the assassinations in the Middle East. We gave a lot of the targeting data, the weapons. We did the same in Ukraine. We're knee deep. And you might say, well, Russia's a bad people. Well, no, Russians are bad people. I'm just saying with this is that if you leave the bear alone, the bear won't get up and come after you. Okay? We wouldn't do it. And the reason Russia was on the list was because it was part of that new multipolar world, one of the bigger, stronger countries. And if we could have taken Russia down first, which we didn't, then it would be just China standing alone. And this gentleman's right, General Combat X is right. Then India might say, hey, it's just us. Maybe I'm going to lean more to the West. But with the pillars as they are now, the probabilities are that, the BRICS will only get stronger. Now, how does this affect the United States? Well, prestige is number one. This is more than you think. The people like India, like Modi and the Indian government and other countries who are waiting in line to join BRICS, they're looking at it from a fact that the United States might still have a very powerful military and a big economy, but a lot of the aging teeth in that tiger's mouth are not as powerful nor have the staying power that they did years ago. And, you're going to see that as we weaken economically, as debt gets us, as this debt bubble bomb bursts at some point, you're going to have a shambles of an economy. Another comment here. No people are bad. It's leaders who shape their country. This is true. And that's another good point that I've always tried to make, too, that, American exceptionalism always kind of based itself. And I know people, I know good people will tell me, oh, they don't matter. People matter. And as this gentleman, many people that listen to, the rhetoric that goes on from the State Department, how everybody's out to get us, as if we were just sitting in the schoolyard all by ourselves in the corner and everybody came to gang up on you. And they didn't. I mean, that's not how it works. We sort of always had the issue of being the world's policeman, but it wasn't because we cared about the people we were policing. It was because there were reasons. There was reasons we wanted to be there. Oil, natural resources, a country next door that might be rising in power. What do you think we did to Gaddafi in Syria? I mean, in Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, we killed him. We set it up so that the militias found him and killed him. Now, Muammar Gaddafi was considered a bad guy, although he worked with the United States in recent times. Why did we kill him? Because he was going to challenge the U.S. dollar in Africa, North Africa. He was going to use the denali as a measurement, as a currency, gold. Of course, we can't have that. And this is my example. We can't have that happen. So we've waged war, economic war, proxy wars, physical wars against nations across the world, whether we needed to or not. Vietnam goes back. Talk about Vietnam. There was only money in that. There was no fear that Vietnam was actually going to be a superpower in that region, and there wasn't really ever going to be a domino effect, and we saw that there wasn't. But we had to go in. We had to go, and we lost 58,220 people. And I'm sure more than that. So before you go to vote this year, think about the bigger picture. And I'm not sure which candidate's the anti-war candidate. I don't think either of them are, and I can guarantee neither of them are. But when you're voting for Congress, try to find out where they stand. Most of them are warmongers, both parties. You know, we call them, and the joke is in this community, we call them the uniparty because they're one party when it comes to war and spending. They're going to spend us into oblivion, and they're going to take us to war anytime they need to. And until you wake up and realize that the rhetoric and the nutcases that are going out there fighting each other at coffee shops and at family tables over the election, calm down, make up, and forget about it. Go watch the video I just did. Trump or Harris, does it really matter? Go watch that video, and you get a little different perspective. You won't be so angry. We talked about this last night on the conversation with Ashley and David. We talked about the anger that people have during this election. Hatred. That if one candidate gets elected over the other, the end of the world. We've said that for the last 20 years, the last bunch of elections. Things will change. But a lot of things are going to change no matter what. Hatred's not going to do it, people. Understanding where you're at in this world. And here at the Thompson Analysis, we attempt to honestly give you, without ideology, without right-left paradigms, without picking sides, we're going to try to give you the best information we have. And of course, a lot of things, as we find out, a lot of things we can't control that can change overnight. But remember, you have to know the course you should take. You got to be prepared for what's coming, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I've said that many years now, and I'm still firm on that. You know, there's really no answer in politics. There never will be. Just doesn't happen. Okay? Those of you that, and so many people I know, really believe that the answer is in this election, that somehow everything will change and be back to the way it was, whatever that means. I look at it differently, and I see a different outcome because you see the problems we have are now global. We now have not only the issues and problems within our own country that we have to face, but a global concern of the rising tide of a whole new economic system that's challenging ours, that'll overcome ours. It probably already technically has. It's just a matter of time for it to get its feet. I don't know how long that will take. Months, 2 months, 5 years, I don't know. But it will make a difference. And in the end, what will happen, and this is probably the final point I'll make, everybody needs to use dollars, as I mentioned. The dollar is the world's reserve currency. We need to use them. Everybody needs to use them around the world. So they have to go buy dollars, put those dollars in reserve, that's why it's the reserve currency, and use them to buy products, oil. But they don't have to do that anymore. It's going to change. So all those dollars we printed that were sent overseas, and nobody knows how many, I've tried to find it, different versions, billions, trillions, they'll start marching and finding their way back here. And if you think the inflation we have now is bad, when more dollars enter the system, it's like dilution. It'll dilute the buying power of the dollar even more. And what you'll find is that we'll maybe go even into hyperinflation. I'm not predicting that as an economist. That's one of the toughest things to really understand is how that will actually occur. What countermeasures the Federal Reserve will use. Usually it's printing more money. My point is that this is all real possibilities. This is not just conjecture or something for a thumbnail on a YouTube channel. This is a reality that's going to happen. And many people who are involved in the mathematics of this will tell you that it's a mathematical probability that we're going to have a major collapse, a major crack, bigger than we've ever seen in history. And that's probably something that a lot of people would tremble if they understood what that really means. See, the veneer of civilization is thin, and it can be cracked very easily. We are a technological world that, you know, once the one thing fails, other systems fail along with it, and then you never recover. So I hope that gives you a little idea of the importance of what's happening geopolitically. I know people don't like geopolitics, but it's important because we aren't an island unto ourselves. We used to be. in a way, because we see we could farm out everything we wanted and keep it at an arm's distance. But now the enemy is within the gates, and we are not equipped to defend ourselves financially, even militarily anymore like we were 20 years ago. So be prepared for a multipolar world, people. It's all the time I have. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Please like, subscribe, and share. Check out our other videos. And I'll see you next time. And I'll do another video tomorrow, so look out for that right here on the Tom Sig Analysis. Good night.